States. It's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mark from the States. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all of you. I really do. Thank you. Today, of course, we had Trooping the Color on Saturday. It's the King's birthday tradition. A lot of you requested I should watch Trooping the Color, the tradition explained. Royal Family Channel. Please go support them. We've seen a bunch of their stuff. Amazing channel. I've seen a lot of cool things that involve the royal family. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've learned, or should I say that I've retained a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff just goes in and it kind of just sits in there until something jars the memory, and oh yeah, I do remember that. There is a lot of stuff that does stick as well. So I do learn a lot from this channel, and what's great about it is we watch the stuff, and then the feedback that I get from all of you really puts everything into context and all that wonderful things. I just love our channel. It's been just amazing. So this is one of those yearly traditional things out of the many that you have. I think today or yesterday was the Order of the Garter ceremony, which I know a little bit about. I'm probably going to have to watch an explainer on that again. I'll watch these things once or twice or even 3 times, and I still just kind of, it won't, completely, explain, help me understand and totally get into it. Like I said, it took me a good year to really kind of understand rugby. And so I just have kind of a feeling that it's just repetition of seeing these things. And, unless I'm watching it every day or every few days all the time, because I'm jumping onto another subject, in the next video, so it's tough for me anyway, but it's interesting to learn and see this explained. So let's get into it. Please come sit on this big fake couch. As you know, my son's going to be there in about a week's time, so I'm excited for him. Hopefully the weather behaves. I think either way, he'll be fine. He's going to have it's going to be a trip of a lifetime. And so I'm really excited for him. And like I mentioned, I'm no longer jealous. I'm excited for him. So come sit with me. I'm sure you probably already know all this stuff, but I appreciate you watching with me and helping me learn. And let's get into this. What is Trooping the Color?
Think of all the things that come to mind when you hear the words Great Britain, and chances are you'll find many of them on a Saturday in June at the Trooping the Colour ceremony. This military spectacle, which marks the official birthday of the King or Queen, is the sort of event the United Kingdom does best.
Absolutely.
Pomp, pageantry, music, gun salutes, flag-waving crowds, soldiers in bearskin caps, and the extended royal family at Buckingham Palace, all tied up with red, white and blue smoke trails.
Love me some red arrows.
Trooping the Colour is believed to have started as a practice to ensure soldiers could easily spot their unit in the heat and chaos of battle. Different regiments of the British Army carried their own flags, or colours, on the battlefield. The colours used to be trooped in front of the soldiers every day to make sure they could recognise their regiment. The ceremony of Trooping the Colour is believed to have first been performed for King Charles II, who reigned between 1660 and 1685. It was first used to mark the monarch's official birthday in 1748, during the reign of King George II, and became an annual tradition under his successor, George III. But we were still some way off from the ceremony that we recognise today. Horse Guards Parade, on the opposite side of St James's Park from Buckingham Palace, wasn't used for trooping the colour until 1805.
Okay. I'm glad they showed this map here to kind of show, because, you see at the end everybody walking down the Mall to Buckingham. And I was just thinking this the other day. It's like, I wonder how far of a walk that is. So they just cut through the park here. When they're done, get on the Mall and just, let's go back here and then come on down to, and they can also take this street down here as well to get there. And the Victorian Memorial is right there. Okay. All right.
From Buckingham Palace wasn't used for trooping the colour until 1805. Further changes took place at the start of the 20th century under Edward VII. He was the first monarch to regularly receive the royal salute in person. It was also Edward who was responsible for the monarch having 2 official birthdays. The reason for this is a typically British one. Edward VII was born in November, but decided to keep the official birthday ceremony in May or June because the weather would be better. As has happened though, 3 trooping the colour ceremonies were cancelled during his reign due to bad weather. Finally, the parade has been held on a Saturday in June every year since 1959, with the exception of 2022, which was held on a Thursday during Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee celebrations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Elizabeth attended every Trooping the Colour ceremony during her 70-year reign, with the exception of just one. In 1955, her birthday parade had to be cancelled due to a train strike.
Number 10 Downing Street to review the latest developments in the railway dispute and to make plans for all emergencies.
Elizabeth also witnessed 2 slimmed-down private trooping ceremonies in 2020 and 2021, configured to meet social distancing regulations during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, who's involved? Well, the monarch of the United Kingdom, of course, who is also Commander-in-Chief of the British Armed Forces. The histories of the monarchy and the military are intertwined, dating back to times when the king was responsible for raising and maintaining an army. The king and other members of the royal family hold appointments and honorary ranks within the armed forces. Charles III has a close relationship with all 3 branches of the military. He received Royal Air Force training whilst he was at university, flying Chipmunk and Bassett CC-1 aircraft. After his passing out ceremony, Charles joined the Royal Navy, serving on guided missile destroyers and as a gunnery officer. His military career ended in 1976, but as Prince of Wales, he remained as regimental colonel of the Welsh Guards until 2022, when he acceded to the throne. The King's birthday parade involves 1,400 officers and soldiers, 200 horses, and 400 musicians, parading from Buckingham Palace down the Mall to Horse Guards Parade. Horse Guards Parade was formerly the tilt yard of the Palace of Whitehall, which used to be the main residence of English monarchs until the end of the 17th century. Jousting and other tournaments were held here during the reign of Henry VIII. The Horse Guards building, on the eastern side of the square, used to be the headquarters of the British Army during the 18th and 19th centuries. Members of the royal family often watched the birthday parade on the square from the former office of the Duke of Wellington, who commanded British-led forces to victory in the 1815 Battle of Waterloo. More recently, it was used to host the beach volleyball competition during the 2012 Summer Olympic Games in London.
Well, that's awesome. When I watched the 2012 Olympics, I was definitely watching beach volleyball, especially the women's. I wish I had already seen what I'd seen when I watched the Olympics back in 2012, and being able to see the buildings around, especially this venue. I didn't even remember that. And I probably watched this not even thinking twice of it. You know, man, if I'd known then what I know now, how much more of an experience that would have been. Would have been great.
The soldiers who take part in the parade form one of the oldest bodies within the British Army, the Household Division.
Household.
They are the King's personal troops and have been since the restoration of the monarchy in 1660.
All right, sorry for pausing. All right, so I just want to go through and see if I remember the 5. Grenadier, Coldstream, and then Irish, Scots, and Welsh. And they all have their own, what's that called in their hat, in the bearskin hat? Plume? Is that what you're calling it? Regimental colors or something. I forgot what the official name is. And of course, the buttons. The spacing of the buttons and the grouping of the buttons and stuff like that. Those are all unique to their each group there. See, I remember some things. It's funny, I hadn't thought of that in a while, but then just popping it up, you know.
Following the end of the English Civil War and subsequent interregnum, the Household Division includes 5 regiments of foot guards: the Grenadier Guards, the Coldstream Guards, the Scots Guards, the Irish Guards, and the Welsh Guards. Only one colour can be trooped in front of the sovereign at the birthday parade, and so the 5 regiments take turns to do so annually. Soldiers are divided into 6 foot guard companies who form an L shape around the perimeter of the Horse Guards parade square. This is similar to a defensive formation called the Hollow Square, used in battle to protect the regiment's colour. The number 1 guard are called the escort for the colour.
Number 3 guard opens ranks to allow carriages to pass through.
The guards have now formed up, and members of the royal family begin to arrive in barouche coaches. The sovereign rides down the Mall, either on horseback or by carriage. Queen Elizabeth II rode her mare, Burmese, at the parade from 1969 to 1986. In 1981, a man shot 6 blanks at both the monarch and her mare
Yeah, I
on the
remember
corner
that.
of the Mall and Horse Guards Road.
Remember the
Burmese
video.
was startled, and it took the Queen's skills as a horsewoman to bring her under control. Both were unharmed. In 1987, Burmese was retired, and Elizabeth began travelling by carriage instead. Burmese subsequently joined the police part-time before being put out to grass in the fields of Windsor.
Once you've ridden a horse of this calibre, all other horses pale into the distance.
Another famous horse in the household cavalry was Sefton, a black gelding who was severely injured by an IRA bomb at Hyde Park in 1982,
Poor horse.
but recovered and returned to duties just
good.
2 months later.
He's a strong character, obviously.
Extremely strong character, yeah.
He retired in 1984 and died in 1993 at the age of 30. King Charles III debuted his mare Noble at the 2023 parade, his first trooping the colour as monarch. Born and raised in Ontario, the 16.2-hand Black Hanoverian was a gift from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on the occasion of Charles and Queen Camilla's coronation.
Their baby statues are not such a long way.
The king must have remembered his own words at Noble's first trooping the colour when she appeared restless. It took much of Charles's experience and skill to command her. The monarch is accompanied to Horse Guards Parade by the sovereign's escort, consisting of the troops of the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment and the mounted bands. They all salute the colour as they pass by. The timing at this event is precise. The sovereign arrives at the entrance to Horse Guards building at exactly 11 o'clock. When he reaches the dais, the king is greeted by a royal salute and the playing of the national anthem. The king then inspects the troops, wearing their full-dress ceremonial uniform of red coats and bearskin caps. The scarlet tunics originate from the Welsh red of the House of Tudor. The bearskin caps were originally worn by the French Imperial Guard and then adopted by the Grenadier Guards after the Battle of Waterloo. The procession turns before number 6 guard and salutes the colour. The sovereign salutes the king's troop during this inspection. He is led by the brigade major and followed by the 2 mounted royal colonels, the Princess Royal, Colonel of the Blues and Royals, and the colonel of that year's trooping regiment, the Prince of Wales for the Welsh Guards, the Duchess of Cambridge for the Irish Guards, the Duke of Edinburgh for the Scots Guards, Lieutenant General Sir James Bucknell for the Coldstream Guards, and the Queen for the Grenadier Guards. The king takes his place on the dais for the rest of the ceremony. The massed bands of the Foot Guards perform a musical troupe, a quick and a slow tune, and the colour of the regiment is carried through the ranks of the Foot Guards.
Okay.
Next comes the drummer's call, the signal to the escort for the colour to march to the centre of the square and collect the colour.
I know this music. Maybe it's just from the many times I've seen bits and pieces of this and that.
The Sergeant Major moves to the rear of the escort and draws his sword for the only time in the ceremony, and formally takes charge of the colour.
symbolic protection of the color. The only time he will do so would be time. Salutes the color, pays for it, and receives the color in his left hand.
He then hands it over to the ensign to be trooped. This is the most significant moment in the ceremony. There is another royal salute, and the opening 6 bars of the national anthem are played. The escort for the colour, having taken possession, now becomes the escort to the colour. The foot guards then march past in slow and quick time before the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery and the Sovereign's escort of the Household Cavalry ride past at the walk and the trot.
Harlech. Uninsurable. No brakes. I'm fascinated
Then comes
by
a salute
these.
from the drum horses.
Yeah, I'm
These are
fascinated
the
by
biggest
these.
horses in the parade. The 2 used in the 2023 ceremony are called Apollo and Juno. The other 2 are named Perseus and Atlas. Juno was officially named by Queen Camilla in the week leading up to that year's ceremony. After the walk and trot pasts, the director of music signals to hand back control to the field officer, which is followed by another royal salute.
I'm just blown away.
The field officer asks the sovereign permission to march off.
I'm just blown away by how many take part in this, 1,400 or so. Just remarkable. I know it's essentially the same every year. They just kind of each regiment, I guess, gets their time up front. Right? It rotates through all 5, and but basically everything is kind of this. It's the same ceremony. I still think they would have to practice, right? But it's just such a massive production, which is pretty fascinating. It's a long one, and of course I'm knee deep in it right now watching this year's, and so a lot of this is looking familiar, like, yeah, okay, I think I saw that. And they do a pretty good job explaining it, but this is a little more in depth, which is pretty cool. It's just it's unfortunate that it was raining so much this year, but still, nonetheless, pretty cool. Now the king's back on horse.
Now begins the march back to Buckingham Palace.
I don't know how you can
King
see.
rides back to the palace at the head of his guards before taking a further salute at Centre Gate, and the troops return to barracks. This formally marks the end of the parade, the guards having escorted the sovereign back to Buckingham Palace. A great ceremonial royal standard flies above. Measuring 11.6 by 5.8 metres, it is similar in size to a badminton court. It only flies on special occasions, including the birthday parade and also the annual Garter service at Windsor Castle. The crowds are finally allowed to surge down the Mall towards the gates of Buckingham Palace, where they will see the royal family appear on the balcony.
Jeez. 1985. Huh. Wow.
The Mall is lined with 66 Union Jacks, whilst Horse Guards Road displays the flags of member countries of the Commonwealth of Nations. Meanwhile, a 41-gun salute is fired by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery from the Green Park, to the north of Buckingham Palace. Why 41 guns? Well, one theory says that the tradition of a 21-gun salute dates back to the 15th century, when 21 rounds would be fired from guns in a harbour to welcome an unarmed warship that had no hostile intentions. The Green Park is one of 8 royal parks in London, and an additional 20 rounds are added if it takes place in any of these parks. The salute takes 6 minutes to complete.
That's pretty cool.
Finally, at 1 o'clock, the royal family gather on Buckingham Palace balcony to watch a flypast. This is the Royal Air Force's time to shine, boasting an array of modern military aircraft. It also features a Battle of Britain memorial flight, comprising a Lancaster bomber flanked by Hurricanes or Spitfires, the aircraft used in the Second World War.
Yeah,
the flypast was performed for the first time at Trooping the Colour in 1913 for King George V by what was then called the Royal Flying Corps. The crown jewel in the flypast, and for many people of the entire day, is the Royal Air Force's aerobatic team, better known as the Red Arrows, who leave trails of red, white and blue smoke as they fly low over Buckingham Palace. But it is not just these 9 pilots who have their moment in the sun. It also gives the crowd below and the people watching at home a chance to see what antics the royal children get up to on the balcony.
Yeah. I remember that.
So that's the birthday parade celebrations over. But did you know that Trooping the Colour actually takes place over 3 consecutive weekends? 2 weeks before the main event comes the Major General's Review, followed by the Colonel's Review the weekend after. These both serve as dress rehearsals for the birthday parade, but feature fewer mounted officers. In the Major General's Review, it is the Major General commanding the Household Division who inspects the soldiers, rather than the King. Equally, in the Colonel's Review, it is the Colonel of that year's regiment who inspects the troops. In 2023, it was William, Prince of Wales, as the Welsh Guards trooped their colour. The ceremonies can take their toll on the soldiers involved, particularly when London's summer temperatures surpass 30 degrees Celsius. Soldiers have been known to faint in the baking heat and have to be stretchered off to receive attention. A reminder of the huge amounts of concentration, fitness and stamina required of the soldiers on parade. Trooping the Colour is a vibrant display of military prowess and precision, equestrian expertise, stirring music and public celebration. Its traditions and adaptations through the centuries are a fitting way to mark the birthday of the sovereign, the national figurehead who continually balances the country's tension between change and continuity. Like every birthday celebration, inclement weather, industrial action and a coronavirus pandemic have all managed to scupper or alter plans.
So that year it was held at Windsor.
And a coronavirus pandemic have all managed to scupper or alter plans. But this most British of traditions always returns, bigger, louder and more colourful than ever.
Oh yeah, love the Jets. That was awesome. Yeah, a lot of things they point out I had no idea. So King Edward VII, how integral he was. He was the one that made sure it stayed in June or May and June because of weather. Unfortunately for him, it rained a bunch when he changed it, but that's, it is what it is. They canceled him back when he was in charge, and nowadays I don't think they cancel him, right? They just do it in the rain. But show must go on. I didn't know that they're all wearing the same color. Of course, we talked about the 5 different guards. I think I got them out of order. It's Scots, then Welsh, Scots, then Irish, then Welsh. So Grenadier, Coldstream, Scots, Irish, Welsh are the 5 household foot guards. So that's cool. For whatever reason, that's always stuck in my head. And the button grouping, 1 and then the 2 and then 3, so on. The L shape that they line up in is traditional defensive position to protect the colors, the flag, right? So learning that this is kind of a tradition of having them march past the colors so they can know what it looks like in battle, which must be just absolutely terrible and hard to do. Trying not to get killed, but also trying to see where your flag is. So it's interesting watching those old footage of the Queen and how she rides her horse. She was amazing at horse riding, or at riding. I remember the video we watched where the guy in the crowd shot the blanks. That was what an idiot that guy was, but she handled it like a true professional. And I didn't know that King Charles had... So he was in the Air Force, or took part of the Air Force, and then went over into it's. I guess it's good to be in the royal family. That's not a normal thing, right? To go spend some time in the Air Force and then go over into the Navy. That's just because of who he was, right? I'm assuming. I love the fact that a lot of them have military experience, but to jump from one branch to the other, maybe, I don't know. You'll have to correct me, of course. But to go from one branch to the other like that, maybe that is somewhat normal. I don't know. I'll look to all of you to enlighten me, for sure. That's what I love about our channel, for sure. What else? We have an interview coming up this Sunday. So it'll probably come out the following week. But send your questions in. Jane from the Ukraine. It's a young lady who lives there. Like I said, it's something I'm stepping out of my comfort zone to do. And if you have any questions, I've gotten a few already. Go to the channel, go to the community tab, go to the post, add your question there, or just send me an email with the title of the email, question for Jane or a question for Ukraine interview, whatever. It doesn't even have to be a question. It could be a comment that you'd like to make. And we'll try to get it in. It's going to be interesting. And I anticipate I will be learning something that we don't see on the news or anything like that. So it'll be fun. I hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks so much for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. This has been quite the journey. And I have a feeling I'll probably have to watch this video a few more times for a lot of it to kind of just sink in. I get the gist of it. I get the point of it. I understand why it's such an amazing tradition and why it's popular. I would love to go, obviously. I hear that's pretty difficult to get tickets. You really need to plan ahead, and being, I don't know, 11 hours by flight away, or so, it's even more difficult. But yeah, who knows? Never say never. You never know. Okay, you guys are amazing. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. And he's from